If you want to support the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thank you. What's up, everybody? Tricks Ridiculous back with another video, and I wanted to look at some of the more specific gear details and some of the legendaries we were able to get a preview of in the PlayStation Showcase for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, we're probably not going to get too much more gameplay, at least for another month or so on this game, so I wanted to go over what we currently have, and I think the customization that you can get through some of the gear in this game looks really in-depth, so I'm really excited. Definitely giving me kind of a Borderlands/Division type vibe from this game, so I'll be really excited to see if there's a lot of build customization, a lot of theory build crafting that we can do, and hopefully the community and players will really get involved in that sort of thing, so that should be fun to see. So I wanted to start just looking holistically at essentially the character screen here. So you can see you're given 2 firearms, a melee slot, a grenade slot, a shield mod, and a traversal mod. You can see we've got a neck bomb mod. We don't know what that does. And then there's another locked slot. That could be something like a relic or a class mod maybe, but it looks like it's not something that unlocks until very high level, possibly even end game. The game, follows the standard, rare, epic, legendary color scale. We don't know if there's anything past the legendary. Right now, that's what we've been able to see. But it seems that every legendary we've seen so far does have a legendary perk. So think of like an exotic from Destiny or Borderlands red text weapons. So it's really good to see, coming from a game like Marvel's Avengers, where there really wasn't too much uniqueness from purples to legendaries. It's good to see that legendary gear actually has unique perks that are unique to them, right? And you can't get anywhere else. So that, to me, is a must-have for any type of looter shooter like this. So the gear that you can actually get, so of the guns, there's actually 6 different gun types. There's assault rifles, which are probably going to be your well-balanced from all ranges, but don't excel at any type weapons. You've got SMGs, which are probably going to be like those close to mid-range chainsaw, high damage. Sniper rifles, those are obvious, right? Very long range, high damage, high skill cap. You're probably going to have to hit your crits to get the maximum damage. Shotguns, close range, burst damage, getting in and out, probably can combine with a melee character. Miniguns, these ones are probably interesting. I assume they're going to be close to mid-range, consistent damage, right? So rather than having to reload constantly with something like an SMG, you might get rewarded for kind of standing in one place and really laying into an enemy with your minigun, and it probably will have to be held down for a bit before it spins up to its maximum DPS. That's just an assumption. And then pistols, kind of again being one of the higher skill cap weapons, probably going to be pretty high damage from a flexible range as long as you're hitting your shots. And then they also have manufacturers. So think again like Borderlands, where there's different gun manufacturers, where the guns operate differently. There's going to be LexCorp weapons, GCPD weapons, armor tech weapons, and then there's going to be gear sets. Gear sets being essentially if you have all matching pieces of the same, set, they will give you additional bonuses based on how many you have equipped. So what they showed off in the demo was what they called a Bane gear set. So it essentially gave you all toxic abilities, right? It make you feel like Bane, right? And they did mention that all of the gear sets that are in the game will be villain themed. So they're going to be, different villains. It'll essentially make you feel like different villains and all kind of be on those different themes. So I'll be really interested to see how those play out and how you can incorporate those with other legendary pieces of gear to really make your build unique. But I wanted to take a look at some of the legendaries we were actually shown and just kind of what they go off of. So you could see first we've got the Epidemic, which is a legendary blade. Now, the blade is actually an interesting part because there's other weapons, at least in the melee slot, that are called bludgeoning weapons. Harley Quinn's baseball bat is a bludgeoning weapon. So we don't know exactly what that means. There could be some hidden perks. Maybe blades have higher crit damage. Maybe they're faster to swing, whereas bludgeoning weapons are probably like more slow two-handed. Maybe they have more knockback. I don't know. We'll have to see, but it looks like there is a customization there. Shield harvest damage bonus. We're not really sure what that does. It looks like from the gameplay, it looks like shield does kind of come off of the enemy's little shield icons that the character picks up. This could affect how many of those drop, maybe that recharge your shield. Combo strike bonus, not sure what that is. I assume it might be something like a combo finisher, where you get extra bonus on the final hit. Suicide strike, we do know that is kind of your takedown, right? So you've probably seen that in the gameplay footage, where when you do your takedown, you kind of get a set number, and it might be different based on the melee weapon you have. And then you'll see that each weapon has actually 3 mod slots, and you'll see in this case, and consistently, we'll see that there's going to be an uncommon, a rare, and an epic mod. Now, we don't know exactly how the mods work specifically. We don't know if every epic and legendary piece of gear can have 3 mods. We don't know if 3 is the limit, right? Maybe you can get 4 on something higher than a legendary if that exists. And we don't know exactly what like the reroll system is. Is it that you kind of have to, maybe you can only reroll one of them. Maybe you have to have an uncommon, you get an uncommon, a rare, and an epic slot, and you have to pick between those, right? Maybe it's a free-for-all, and you can just have all epics or all legendary mods on anything you have. We don't exactly know. So we'll have to see what that looks like, but I love the idea that you get 3 mods on every piece of gear you get. That can absolutely open up a lot of customization with some gear building. So that's really sweet. And then looking at the very bottom there, you'll see it has Venom Frenzy, right? So we don't know exactly what that means, but I assume it just is an element. We've seen other guns that have different elements, some frost, etc. So it's possible it's just different elemental types within the game. And then this has a legendary perk. You'll see at the bottom, Shield Harvesting. An affected enemy has a 75% chance of spreading affliction to other enemies, all enemies within 10 meters. So we don't really know what Shield Harvesting is, but I assume it's something you could probably get going pretty quick when you're meleeing. And then Afflicted, I have to assume that that's the toxic perk, when you're actually applying toxic to somebody. So this seems like a pretty sweet perk. Definitely seems like a crowd control. Maybe you can kind of spread those dots, damage over time to all enemies in the area if you're really surrounded. Could be cool for like a really tanky King Shark melee build. We also did get a look at another legendary on King Shark called the Charge Blade. This one kind of looking like a meat cleaver, and it is also a legendary blade. Again, has kind of that same 3 mod slots, uncommon, rare, and epic. But this one's unique perk is on killing an enemy with a suicide strike, which again is that takedown, your next melee attack damage is increased by 500%. Now, without any more context of how much melee damage is normal, to kill an enemy, 500 sounds like a lot, right? So if this, works kind of the way I think it does, that seems like a really powerful basic ability. You're probably going to be doing your takedowns, your suicide strikes pretty regularly. So it essentially will give you an extra kill on the very next enemy you hit. So that could be a really, really basic, really subtle, easy perk that just is very nice and very easy to use and very good. I wanted to also show off, we did have another melee weapon. Oh, there it was with Harley Quinn. This one called the Home Run, and it's kind of a hammer. This is a bludgeoning weapon. So like we mentioned, we don't know the difference. Looks like bludgeonings are probably like a 2-handed type of, maybe slower than a blade, but maybe more knockback and things like that. And again, same 3 kind of mod slots in this one. Also has a Venom themed ability, and basically the legendary effect here is every melee hit is a strong strike, and strong strikes send brute enemies flying. Not tanks or choppers though, but totally everything else. So great description there. We don't exactly know what a strong strike is. I don't think it's a crit. I think a crit is different. I think a strong strike's probably more of like a charged melee attack. If that's the case, this sounds really, really good. I mean, if every melee hit is a strong strike, then that's probably pretty solid. And being able to send brute enemies flying and probably enemies that are lower than that, that sounds pretty good. Can definitely be a lot of crowd control and can probably be pretty high damage if you're just always getting that strong strike damage versus just regular melee hits. So definitely a pretty cool weapon there. And then the last one I wanted to show off is just what's called, this is the only actual legendary weapon we got. This is called the Eagle Bunsen Burner. This is a legendary LexCorp sniper rifle. And I really like what you can see here. The stats are different than what we saw in the melee weapon. I like how you get to see your damage per hit, your crit damage multiplier, your capacity, your rate of fire, and your reload time down to the 100th of a second, all right on the tooltip. So really good to see that type of in-depth detail on your gear pieces. I like that. It's really important when theory crafting and build crafting that you're able to kind of break things down all in that way. Again, this one 3 mod slots, and then the unique perk on this Eagle Bunsen burner is successful critical reloads have a 100% chance to instantly burn the next enemy hit. So again, that's taking into account another elemental burn, in fire, incendiary damage is probably another elemental type in this game. As far as what a critical reload is, I have no idea. I assume if I had to guess what a critical reload is, it's one of probably 2 things. It's either that you timed the reload perfectly, like you timed the animation perfectly, or that you hit the reload button when you hit exactly 0 in the magazine without trying to fire again, after running out. It's probably one of those 2 things. But if you can do it, consistently, this seems like a nice perk to kind of burn enemies and kind of get that extra DPS. Without any more context, it's hard to say how much more useful this would actually be. But we'll have to see when the game, comes out and we're able to really dive in. But just at a high level, I just really wanted to make this video to just show how excited I am for all the detail that you actually get in the guns, and just loving to see that all of these different legendary guns have these unique perks on them. I assume the same is going to go for your shield mods, your traversal mods, your neck mods, possibly whatever that last item is. It's just going to be really cool to see all of the different unique builds, and really how you can push your character into the end game across all 4 characters plus DLC characters to come. So really excited for this. I think they're absolutely doing gear correctly in this game, which is one of the absolute mandatory things. I know people are a little suspect about this game being live service, but as I've said with Avengers, if Avengers did it right, if they really put the effort in and really made the game high quality, it would have worked. Being live service isn't what mattered, right? And it looks like they're doing it right here. They're putting in the effort and they're making that kind of high quality product that's going to survive for a while. So really excited. I cannot wait to see all of the different and break down all of the different legendary perks. Really giving me, like I said, kind of those Borderland vibes. Super excited to see this. But anyway, that's it for me. Like I said, really excited to be able to customize loadouts, get kind of those unique perks across all your guns, and even customize the looks of your guns as well. Totally insane. Cannot wait for more in-depth gameplay, to see more legendary guns, skill trees, and more. But for right now, that's it for me, guys. Be sure to like and sub if you like this video and you want more Suicide Squad content. I'll see you in the next one.